Hi. Hello. Can y'all hear me? Because I'm just gonna say straight from the tippity top of the show. I'm supposed to be wearing headphones, but last live that I did, I noticed that my headphones seem to be creating some additional noise. And until I troubleshoot that and figure out what that is, I'm going back to the onboard mic for my laptop. So if y'all can see and hear me, because we want both. Let me know who's out there. Hit the one or something in the chat so I know that y'all can see and hear me. We need audio and visuals. Hello, friend. Ijama, is it working? I know we've done some family lives in recent weeks, but I still feel rusty. I haven't done a live on here since the slap. I was just looking in the back end on my YouTube, and that is the last time I went live, y'all. Thank you, Anyeta. Okay, good. I'm glad. So, thank you. Oh, thank you so much. I'm seeing the thank you, Kimco. Thank you so much. Fabulous. All right, I have been having a lot of fun with lives recently. I've been doing them again with my Patreon and with my locals, and I straight up did not have time to edit a video this week. So here we are. By the way, speaking of my Patreon and locals, this is a segue to an ad. This live is sponsored by moi, or actually, more accurately, it's sponsored by my patrons and my locals communities. Because this live is only going to be half an hour or so. The real Kiki is going to be over on my Patreon and locals after this. The links are in the D box to both of those. So we're going to be on here for like half an hour ish, and then the real Kiki will begin. Because right now, I'm keeping it cute. I'm just drinking me my bootleg LaCroix Kirkland signature. It's just as good. It's just as good. But yeah, I am beyond frazzled, you guys. I've just had an extremely hectic, busy week. I have a lot going on this weekend, and it made the most sense to do a live so I could at least see y'all's faces and kiki with y'all a little bit. But again, after this, I feel like I can proverbially let my hair down, relax with the fam, relax with my locals and Patreon communities, and have a little bit more of a like chill kiki. But this is for the full YouTube fam. Hey y'all, I ain't been on live in over a year because, as I said, last one was a slap. But that's enough rambling about the last time I went live because I don't have that much time. So let's get into it. Y'all saw the title, Jonathan Majors. I think it's a wrap, fam. I think it's a wrap for him because as quickly as this guy became as quickly as he became famous, he became infamous. Like, I got whiplash from everything that has happened in the past couple of weeks with this guy because, to be honest with you, I've been aware of him for a minute. It's not an overnight success. People love to act like people are overnight successes. That almost never happens, right? I've been aware of Jonathan Majors for a minute. First time I ever saw him was in The Last Black Man in San Francisco, which I actually reviewed here on my YouTube channel at the time. I did, back then I was still playing around with doing movie reviews and movie content. It did not do well for me. This was, I think, when I was first starting to have issues with being shadow banned. I try not to bring this up because I know it's boring for y'all, but when my Lion King movie review, like the remake of The Lion King, which came out basically at the same time that The Last Black Man in San Francisco was in theaters, when that got demonetized by YouTube, a review of The Lion King, I knew it was time to wrap it up, which is why you guys haven't really been seeing me as much on YouTube in recent years because, like, they hate me. Anyways, I did review that movie, The Last Black Man in San Francisco, and then he, of course, went on to do Lovecraft Country, which, that was a one season on HBO. But I was with a lot of folks who were surprised when that show got canned after the first season. I was pretty surprised by that. Yeah. Oh, what do you know? I thought that was a really interesting movie. The star of it, Jimmy Fails, also wrote and either directed or co-directed it. I can't quite recall. A really interesting movie. I do remember thinking Jonathan Majors gave me weird vibes, but I was just like, no, maybe he just really immersed himself in the role. Anywho, next thing you know, after Lovecraft Country, Jonathan Majors is all over the place and in every movie. He had something like 3 movies out at the same time recently, only to wind up where we are right now. Now, while everything is still alleged, everything is still allegedly, and we don't know much, that second part will always be the case. Like, we will forever be in the dark on the details of what actually happened, but it seems very clear to me and to many of y'all it's not looking good for him. I already discussed Jonathan Majors and all that was happening in a private live back when this scandal first broke, which is crazy to realize that that was last month at this point. Like, so a lot has happened since I first gave my thoughts on it in that private live. And one of the first things to leak, which we talked about at that time, me and my Ride or Dice fam, one of the first things to leak were some text messages, 2 majors supposedly from the victim, which is his ex, I'm assuming girlfriend. I'm assuming it's an ex-girlfriend at this point, and we'll get to those in a moment. But those leaked texts came out almost right after this whole story broke, and supposedly they were leaked by his legal team, and rather than exonerate him, they made him look guilty as hell. Yeah, we'll talk about that more in a second. But more recently, as in just this week, shit done got real, ho. Hopefully I'm far enough into this live not to be demonetized for saying the shit word. Let me scooch on over because your girl, she's stepped up her live stream game a little bit. I'm going to have some visuals here. This first one, Jonathan Majors and manager Entertainment 360 part ways, actor facing domestic violence allegations in NYC. So his management team, his PR people, they pieced out. I scooted over prematurely. The next things are actually going to be side by side. So as soon as I was tooting my own horn for my live stream games, I fucked something up. Love that for me. But anyway, the people whose job it is, their job is specifically to manage any crises that he may face. These are the people. The crisis management team were the ones who say, "Oh, girl, this too much. This too much, girl." That's not great. Whatever happened when they had their meeting with him where he explained, his version of events to them, that was enough for them to realize that there ain't no saving it, at least from their perspective. That's not a testament to his guilt or to his innocence. That's an assessment on how it looks, because everything they do is based on optics, right? Exactly. They saw just how bad it was. All right, now I think I actually do need to be scooted over. So bear with me, y'all. On screen, coming in hot. So then, these are all, we're going to kind of go through this past week because the story broke and it was all anyone was talking about, and then it kind of subsided, and then this past week a bunch of shit got hot again. From Deadline Hollywood, which is at this point kind of an OG. I mean, going back to the Nikki Fink days, anyone in show business knows about Deadline Hollywood. Hollywood's wariness of Jonathan Majors grows. Actor no longer starring in the Man in My Basement movie, cut from Texas Rangers ad campaign. Oh, for fuck's sake. I forgot to put my phone on D&D. Sorry, friends. Now it's on. So, yeah. So basically, all these people have said, nah, it's a chop. It's a chop. Okay? So that's another thing. Does not look great. Also, Valentino, who was evidently going to dress him for the Met Gala this year, said, get somebody else to do it. They at least his team tried to spin that as being a mutual agreement to part, but I'm sure the Met Gala wants, they don't want to touch this. Valentino doesn't want to touch this. But yeah, according to Major's team, this was mutual. Disney still ain't said shit. And I think a lot of folks are in a wait and see holding pattern until Marvel slash Disney, which is the same company, until they make a move. I think a lot of people are like waiting to see what they gonna do, because the amount of money that is tied up in this mail through his various projects, and not just the ones with Marvel, because the ones I just showed you were not Marvel. Like, he had a lot of irons in the fire. There's a lot of money tied up in this man. So he's in a real pickle. He's in a real pickle. All right. So his issues have worsened. This came later in the week, around Wednesday, I want to say, because around Wednesday we started to hear rumblings that there are more alleged victims. As you can see, this is from Variety, and they're cooperating with the DA's office. Now, y'all know how I feel about the mainstream media. Oh God, I'm gonna sound like I'm one of those QAnon fuckwits, but it is true. There's obviously racism built into a lot of quote unquote trusted sources. But the optics, as I said, fam, the optics. And I really don't know what to think at this point, because I think that there is more than enough historic precedent of Black people being accused wrongfully, because Blackness itself is criminalized, and in these United States it always has been. However, I do find it a bit hard to believe that there would be some cabal conspiring to tear down Jonathan Majors. Like, why him? And why at this point in time? Like, this scandal is going to cost people a lot of money. Too much for that to make sense to me, for this to be some sort of like, I mean, was he trying to buy NBC or something? Like, what? Let me stop. But frankly, Majors was poised to be yet another shining example of hashtag Black excellence, to be weaponized against the 99%, if anything, but now this. So let's get into the discussion. Here is from Variety. Let's just read through this together. Let me scoot a little bit more. The industry was jolted by the news that Major's publicist, the lead company and Management 360, had dropped their star client well before his first court appearance next month. As of now, William Morris Endeavor is still representing Majors. In 2018, the agency created a so-called Client Advisory Committee, which makes a recommendation on whether or not to drop a client accused of impropriety. The committee of 20 staffers, split evenly among gender lines and from a cross-section of divisions, how very progressive of them, evaluates a client's viability amid accusations and considers such factors as if the client has been charged criminally or is facing a civil lawsuit. WME has previously dropped such clients as Brett Ratner, Bryan Singer, and Armie Hammer. The committee has not yet met regarding Majors based on the limited information that is available. I thought that was some tea, just that they even have this committee where it's just like, let's make this look right with who we decide gets put on it. And they're basically consulting with a rainbow coalition, if you will, to see what's the best look, what's the worst look. I thought that was very interesting. Let's continue. Same article. Chaudhry's husband, which is his lawyer, Andrew Burke, I don't know, is serving as Majors' crisis publicist and doubled down on the narrative that Majors was the victim when he released a series of text messages on March 30th that were intended to be exonerating. Who the fuck wrote this? Exonerating is a transitive verb. Anyway, in the text exchange, which has not been independently verified, the woman wrote to Majors, "I told him it was my fault for trying to grab your phone," and stressed that she told the police this was not an attack. The woman allegedly wrote, "Please let me know you're okay when you get this. They assured me that you won't be charged. They said they had to arrest you as protocol when they saw the injuries on me and they knew we had a fight. I'm so angry that they did, and I'm sorry you're in this position. We'll make sure nothing happens about this. I love you. Now, these were the texts that I referred to earlier that did not make things look better for him, because that is giving to me textbook victim of DV. DV. I'm not going to say the words because this is YouTube, but hopefully you know what acronym that is. This is giving textbook battered woman to me and to many others, because I wasn't the only person who had this take. Let's continue. Still same article. A few hours later, the woman allegedly wrote allegedly. I've been on my grammar police thing hardcore this week, you guys. I think it's just like I've been reading so much internet commentary, it's just making me trace my veins with a razor. She wrote allegedly, quote, "I know you have the best team and there's nothing to worry about. I just want you to know that I'm doing all I can, my end. I also said to tell the judge to know that the origin of the 911 call was to do with me collapsing and passing out, and your worry as my partner due to our communication prior," end quote. But for many who were in business with majors, the text messages had the opposite effect and raised more questions than they answered, namely, why the woman had lost consciousness. It read like a really bad Lifetime movie. They basically look like text messages of a textbook abused woman, says one person who is working with majors on an upcoming project. I promise it isn't me, even though I almost said that verbatim moments ago. That quotation is not attributed to me. I am not the person working with majors on an upcoming project. But yeah, I think a lot of people had that feeling. It didn't help things. It didn't help things. All right, last bit of this article that I want to go through with y'all. In addition to his role in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the actor is also poised to play NBA bad boy Dennis Rodman in the Lionsgate film 48 Hours in Vegas, which I didn't know about this project, but I want to see that movie. If anyone knows, they actually touched on this in The Last Waltz, that documentary with Jordan about the Bulls' final championship season. I can't remember exactly what it was called. It was like that Netflix documentary, The Last Dance or whatever the fuck. I think The Last Dance, some shit like that. Anyway, but Rodman's 48 Hours in Vegas trip is the stuff of legend. With that project, the studio is watching developments closely before making a decision about whether or not to proceed with majors. Other projects that hang in the balance include Spike Lee's The Understudy for Amazon. A source at the studio says Majors is still attached to star and produce alongside Will Smith, but the project hasn't moved forward since it was announced early in March. Sounds like something's going into turnaround. I think the truth is everyone is waiting to see what Marvel will do, says an industry insider familiar with the situation. It doesn't mean everyone will do the same thing, but that's what people are looking to, which is exactly what my feeling is as well. It seems like a pretty logical take. Like, Marvel and Disney own too much of everything, so whatever they do, it's more or less everyone else's job to basically fall in line or risk dissent, and seeing how that goes. So we shall see. Let's see. So anyways, that's where we are at right now, unless there have been any major developments in the past couple of hours, because as I told y'all, your girl has been frazzled, and I just had to hand off my dog because I'm about to leave town, so there's a bunch of stuff going on. But anyways, the public response is predictably divided, especially since, despite the victim's identity still being protected at this time, a lot of us been new. A lot of us been new the tea on Jonathan, where the white women at majors. A lot of us been new, and we more or less, even if we don't know like the who of the victim, we know the demographic. Okay? Now here's what. The victim being a white woman is seemingly the most important thing to a lot of people in these comment section streets. But the way the importance of her being a white woman showing up is disconcerting to me. And now we got some more things popping up on screen. Look at me with my little visuals. This person on Instagram said, "They're wrong there. The ones who want to keep dating white girls, so hey, this is the price they pay, SMH." Okay? Ain't my business. That's why happens when you get a white woman. So those are some of the takes that we're seeing in these streets. Now listen, if Jonathan Majors did do these things, it is not his punishment for dating white women. It's his punishment for being abusive, if he actually did these things. If he actually did these things, he's not being punished for dating out or having a preference. It's his punishment for being an abusive male. The fuck is wrong with y'all? Honestly. And then, of course, we have the cavalry. Just trying to mess my husband life up for what, though? Madam, he don't want you. He don't want you. I see so many black women saying things like this about black males who don't even like them. Like, they hope that if they keep on with this, these males will eventually, like, come back home, if you know what I mean. It's a trip. It's a trip. I mean, I've been pretty clear on my stance when it comes to these types of males, and a lot of black women have expressed the same stance that I have. Frankly, Jonathan Majors and males like him, like, it's no loss to black women. It's not a loss for us, you guys. And I certainly don't wish that he had been with a black woman, because first of all, once a man, you know, pathologically, exclusively dates out, and of course we all know, typically when you ask them why their preference is what it is, they just start to malign black women. Rather than saying what they love about these other women, their answer is what they don't like about black women. Okay? So a male like that, like, ain't no fixing it. Like, good riddance. I love it when the trash takes itself out. So I do not wish that Jonathan Majors had been with a black woman, and I feel like that commentary is weird, that like, oh, he should have been, like what? Because if he actually did these things, then what? Like, it would be better if he'd have allegedly done this to a black woman and she hypothetically wouldn't have snitched because she ain't a Karen? Is that why it would be better if he had been with a black woman? Can someone explain this to me? Or is it that even if this hypothetical black woman did snitch, it wouldn't ruin his career because the victim would have been a black woman and not a white woman? So y'all are just saying that it would be better if he could go on being abusive in peace, potentially, allegedly? I mean, people just really say the most thoughtless shit online. I swear, like, from the Scottsboro Boys to the Exonerated Five, there is no shortage of historic precedents for false accusations against black boys and men having life and death consequences. This we know. But there's also no shortage of both historic and current precedents for domestic violence against women. Y'all ever heard of Leah Gordon? I love Leah Gordon, but I can't watch her channel anymore because she has content to put up pretty much every day, sometimes multiple times a day, of femicide at the hands of black males. And it's not just black males, but she's a black woman, so she focuses on stories that take place in our communities. There is no shortage of historic and current precedents of men putting their hands on women. So I don't really know what to make of this situation. I don't really have a take in terms of his innocence or guilt, but I will say it ain't looking good. It ain't looking good. Innocent until proven guilty has never been a reality in practice, especially when the accused is a black person, man or woman. But one thing I'm not going to do is cape for Jonathan Majors. His preference can do that. That's not on me. That's not on us, black women. This person, that pretty much sums up my position on this perfectly. Okay? That's where I'm at. And the creepiest part of all of this is that this is from last year. He seemingly predicted his own downfall. This was some interview he did. If life keeps on popping off the way it is, because this was when he was just everywhere, when he was just overnight success. If life keeps on popping off the way it is, I'm going to die soon. I'm okay with that. It won't be drugs. It won't be alcohol. It'll just, something's going to get me. I remember reading this quotation when it came out, and I was just like, that's a strange thing to say publicly. And that was when I more or less became resigned to him being a whole weirdo, because it just seemed weird to prophetize. I don't know what the word is. Your own death in such a morbid way, but just the weirdness. Just the weirdness. That is another crazy thing going on. I don't really know. I haven't read anything about that since maybe yesterday or the day before, but yeah, that is wild. Super creepy, because I remembered that and I was just like, wait a minute. And then when that started recirculating, it's just like, this is chillingly prophetic at this point. Already a whole weirdo. Completely agree. Completely agree. Ciao. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. I mean, that's also, if we're really going to get into the patterns and behaviors of abusive people, they're often quite thorough in having their mask. It's when that mask slips. It's when that mask slips. I've thought about this too, Sonia. I have thought about this as well. I don't know what to make of it. Domino, Jamie Foxx is in hospital. It's very unclear exactly what happened to him, but he was filming something. I can't recall if he actually collapsed on set or not, and it's unclear like what the actual medical issue is, but it's to the point where they have his double. If you are familiar with how sets tend to work for A-list people, they will have a stand-in so that while they're setting up lights and figuring out camera angles and whatnot, the actual A-list talent can chill in their trailer and, do whatever they want to do until it's time for them to actually be on camera and roll. So they are continuing to work since the stop down without Jamie has been long enough that they've lost too much money. Like, he's been in hospital for maybe a week, maybe longer, and they are like, listen, we gotta keep moving here. And I don't know if the plan is to just fake some over the shoulder shots with his stand-in and just keep going, and once he recovers, I don't know. But it's sad and it's weird, and I don't know. Oh, Cece, they're saying it's a stroke. Yeah. Yeah, supposedly, I didn't really know this about Jamie Foxx, but apparently he's had addiction issues in the past. It says addiction. She means addiction. It's just a typo, call, you guys. I didn't know that about him, but, it's Hollywood. Like, you would be... Actually, you probably wouldn't be surprised at just how normalized drug use is in Hollywood, especially the more money is involved, i.e. like more celebrities, more money, more access, all that stuff. So yeah, I'm hoping for the best. It is major because yeah. He's so young in my mind. I mean, is he even 50 yet? Whew. Yeah, hopefully he pulls through because that's just sad. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. So I also want to talk about Tank Ocean because I've already been on for half an hour and I'm supposed to be starting this live with my patrons and my locals in like 15 minutes. So I need to wrap it up. So Tank Ocean. Now listen, I heard a lot of people both in my real life and on the internet talking about how excited they were for Frank Ocean at Coachella this year. And I kept my mouth shut. I kept my mouth shut. You know why? Because I've seen Frank Ocean live before. Okay? So, when what had happened last Sunday happened, I was zero surprised. Okay? Long story short, Frank tanked. If you somehow have not heard about it, Frank Ocean was the headliner of headliners at Coachella 2023. He took a break from his hectic schedule of designing $20,000 cock rings to be the headlining performer on the final night of Coachella 23 for both weekends. At least that was the plan. That was the plan. Until he was an hour late for his performance last Sunday. He pulled a Lauryn Hill. And then when he finally did show up, he did a whack ass 30-minute set that apparently included some kind of weird DJ intermission. I don't really know. And a lot of people don't really know because he blocked the performance from being live streamed, which is a bold move. But considering what we've learned about the performance since it happened, I can see why he would want to block the live stream. There's a rumor going around that there were some ice skaters planned. They had planned a whole thing with an ice rink. I don't know how true any of this is, but this is the rumor that they had planned some sort of performance where there was actually an ice rink built in the fucking desert of Indio, California. Okay, because I've been to Coachella before. Not recently because I'm too old for that shit at this point in my life. But let me just say it's hot. It's the kind of hot in Indio where once you've been out there for a few hours, you just start looking at your friends like, have we gone to the upper room because I feel insane? Or I guess you would probably think you're in the lower room because that's how hot it is. All right, it's bad. But in any event, they somehow managed to construct, according to the rumor, an ice rink on stage to have ice dancers, only for Frank Ocean, apparently at the last minute, to decide he didn't want to do that. So they had to figure out how to melt this ice rink that I'm sure cost a ton of money and a lot of time. Apparently that was partially why the performance was delayed, because they had to redo the entire setup and come up with something else. Again, I don't know how true any of that is. But yeah, and then once he finally did get up there, the performance was trash. It seemed very slapdash. People were so pissed that the festival had to give him Das Chop from performing this weekend 2. And they replaced him with Blink 182, which is perfect because obviously Frank Ocean and Blink 182 have the same exact audience. Seamless transition. At some point this week, Frank Ocean issued a really terrible non-apology statement. And who knows if there will, in fact, be monetary and legal repercussions from the festival, because I suspect there will be. Also, it's just not a good look. I think it's strange that Coachella booked him, at least to headline, because why was he even headlining when he hasn't released new music in 7 years? And I say this as a fan of a lot of Frank Ocean's songs. I mean, I was listening to Swim Good while I was putting on my iWeave just before this live stream. There's a lot of Frank Ocean songs that are dope and that I love and that are in heavy rotation to this day for me, but it's just wait, he doesn't exactly have the catalog depth of, I don't know, a Beyonce to be able to just headline Coachella after 7 years. It's one thing if you already have a deep catalog, but he don't. Based on my experience seeing him live and this, it seems like maybe live performance is not for him. Maybe that's just not for you, boo-boo. Because when I saw him, which was about 6 or 7 years ago, around the time of Blonde, I think that was what wound up being the final Fuck Yeah Festival, which was a festival we used to have here in LA. Cute story. I also walked out of that Frank Ocean performance. I think I went over to go watch Anderson .Paak instead, because at that performance, which I was very excited about, he had his back to the audience, and also I think he was kind of obscured by some set piece, and he had on headphones the whole time, and he sounded like shit. Not a great singer live. Great songwriter, not a great singer. Again, at least not live. I have a clip that I downloaded from him performing at Coachella where he basically makes the crowd sing them falsetto parts of Thinking About You, because it was clear. It was clear he was not finna hit them notes, but I'm not gonna play it, at least not in this live, maybe in like the private one I'm about to do with my fam in a moment. Because like, I'm not gonna play it here. I ain't finna have this video copyright claimed. Not me. If this hoe gets monetization pending, she will be unlisted until I get my little green dollar sign, because I'm not playing with YouTube no mo. But yeah, I agree. I think you're right, Narika. He does have a cult following because so many people were excited about him, but yeah, I think that he's probably lost a lot of good grace with a lot of his core fan base. I think a lot of people are going to be like, you know what? I can't fuck with you no more. Because that's kind of how I felt when I saw him at FYF. I was like, you know what? I think I'm good on ever seeing him again. I don't think I ever need to do this. So that's why when I heard he was on the lineup at Coachella, I was just like, really? And I had hoped that he had pulled himself together. But like I said at the top, I was zero surprised when I heard what happened. Yeah, Kendrick would be dope. I saw Kendrick on his actual tour for Mr. Morale in September, and it was such a revitalizing experience for me as well, because like, I'm not a musician or anything, but you know, I'm a writer and a director, and I have my own version of art that I do. And going to see Kendrick live made me really excited about art again. Like, that was the one feeling that I took away, to see just how creative it was. And I'm not some sort of like, he can do no wrong, he's infallible. I feel like there's some things with Kendrick where I'm just like, that's a trash take. But I still have a tremendous amount of respect for him as an artist, and I'm so glad that I got to see him live as well. Oh, really? I'm so glad, because I do try my best to get people's names right, because, you know, I live my life with people calling me Ty all the time, and, you know, I live with it. I live with it. Abe, you know, I would love to get back into that, but then I get worried, because if you experiment on YouTube with something that does not have success, your channel will be punished. And my channel is like already in a gray area, because you know how so many YouTubers say, and they think that this is unique about them, they're just like, please subscribe, because I know that 60% of you guys who watch my videos aren't even subscribed. That's a standard statistic. That's pretty normal, because most people get their views through recommendations, through suggested videos, not through subscribers. For me, it is the opposite, because you know, that's the way it works when you've been shadow banned, and I am only making videos because my subscribers fuck with me that much. I'm so grateful to y'all, because I would have quit years ago. I would have stopped years ago, but at least 60% of my views are only because of my subscribers, because I don't get pushed, I don't get recommended, and that's the only reason that my videos have any juice, is because of y'all. That's the only reason I'm still here, because it ain't because of YouTube. They told me to go fuck myself a long time ago. Once I started talking about them and planted channels and shit, and I actually have another planted channel video cooking, so I'm kind of like, fuck me, fuck you, tube. So yeah, that's cooking. I haven't started like fleshing it out for real, but I have been gathering just like bullet point thoughts and useful screenshots for quite some time, actually, quite some time. Anyway, I've already gone 9 minutes over time, y'all. So I've got to go. Oh, thank you, Ajama. Please do. It does help. It does help. I've got to go because I'm going to be hanging out with my patrons and my locals in like 6 minutes. So thank y'all for hanging out with me. I hope that this was as fun for you as it was for me. I do want to get back into doing lives more, but this was more just a practical solution to a time constraint issue. But I need to woosah and probably grab myself an adult beverage, because now that I've rehydrated with my bootleg LaCroix, I think it's time for me to have something that's got a little bit more kick to it and unwind with the fam. Because y'all, I have so much more stuff to talk about, like a lot, but I knew I wouldn't have enough time before we kiki in 5 minutes. Okay, gotta go. And I'll see some of y'all because Ajama, I know a lot of y'all are already out there. I'll see some of y'all soon on the private live. But for everyone else out there, make sure y'all stay safe, stay dangerous, and never trust Frank Ocean, unfortunately. just listen to him on your streaming service, but never trust him with your concert money. Don't do it. Bah.